Well, just when you don't think it can get any further down the nadir of anti-intellectualism, Steve Kaufman posts a video proclaiming an anti-intellectual's viewpoint on linguistics, blah, blah, blah. Obviously meant to be the opposite of that, to prove that he is actually an intellectual, but chooses not to go with the complexities of sciences or disciplines. Actually, it backfired on him because he once again does prove that he is anti-intellectual. He starts out by saying, "I read a lot of books." And a closer inspection of those books, most of them are Tessel books, where Steve, since you decry those people who are monolingual, basically that's where you're going to find them. Most of the writers of Tessel materials are monolinguals. They are a very small faction or fraction, if you want to call it that, in linguistics of one small area of applied linguistics. They're not really great at any of the fields in linguistics. They're just Tessel likes to call themselves applied linguistics, which they can be part of, but they're usually don't have the same background as actual linguists from other fields in linguistics. But not to belabor on that one point, we also see that Steve pulls out such tourist books as the Teach Yourself, Teach Yourself tour book of linguistics. Yeah, that's really used as an academic textbook. Exactly where? Oh, that's right. I forgot. Steve doesn't like universities because that's just too highbrow for him. He's lowbrow. So he likes to pull out some more things. He pulled out a book on Krashen. By the way, Krashen is not multilingual. I bet you didn't know that, did you, Steve? Um, Yet he wants to decry anyone who is not a polyglot. As a linguophile, he's proven that that's what he is, a linguophile. He keeps saying he likes this, he likes that, he doesn't like this, he doesn't like that. He proves that he's anti-intellectual in several ways. One is when he tries to dismiss or diminish the fact that he pulls out open a book and says, "Oh, look at this, S1 with noun phrase and verb phrase and all this. It just makes my head spin." Well, I guess it would for someone who is not that erudite to understand it. And yes, it is applicable to all languages. That's why it's used. Steve, you don't have any background in descriptive linguistics or descriptive grammar. If you did, you would understand these things. And you want to go on and try to say, well, it's not applicable to Japanese because Japanese, you can say one word, yeah, the verb. That that's all that's needed in that language is the verb. And you want to try to start talking about this thing. This is used where they don't have to have a linking verb. They don't have to have a coordinating like to the be verb in certain languages. Of course not. In Thai, you don't need to have a linking verb. Uh, there's things called descriptive verbs, which are passive adjectives, like you can say, and you don't have to say um, car red, car is red, or this man is red, or whatever. You can just say red car or car red. Of course, here you're going to have to deal with classifiers. You just can't say something without a classifier with it. Uh, I'm not going to get into. I was going to start talking about Thai, but I'm not going to do it. This is not what the point of this is. The point of this is pointing out that Steve, you don't know linguistics. Again, you prove this to us. Uh, and your whole idea of, well, this is what they don't use that because you don't know descriptive linguistics. If you did, you'd be able to understand that, yes, that's how different languages present the same sort of information as how it's coded. Your misunderstanding of universal grammar is monumental. Universal grammar is basically Chomsky's uh, way of saying that there's a capacity in humans to learn languages, and the way that the surface structure, when you went back to if you go back to transformational, the surface structure of that is represented in the specific syntax of the individual language. There's a certain finite way that the grammar can be expressed, and that could be done this way. That does not mean that only Romance languages or European languages are the only sort of syntax that are available in the world. Hardly, because you haven't studied any of the languages, and you want to mix this and that. Look, Steve, I've looked at a lot more languages than you ever will look at, because once again, I look at undocumented languages, which you can't do because you don't have text files, audio files, or any of that sort of thing, which you you desperately need to tackle those languages. And I'm going to respond to some of the idiots who've said some really, you know, ignorant is not even the word for it, below ignorance comments. Someone said, most of the languages in the world do have scripts. They're documented wrong. You're wrong. And if you'd like to bet money on that, I'd be willing to take it. You can quickly look, though, at the Ethnologue, which is some of the people that I work for. In fact, I know the guy who runs the Ethnologue, Dr. Lewis. And we can talk about how many languages. There's roughly around 6,000. There's some dying, there's some being found, more are dying than are being found. But the majority of them are not documented. They don't have scripts, and many of those ones that have been documented have been under-documented, so they don't. So once again, you people want to dismiss it because you say, "Oh, that's not important. We don't need to learn it." But yet you want to defend, Moses McCormick, who's learning Icelandic, who will never use the language where he lives in Ohio, in the United States. He's geolocked. Some idiot said, "Oh, he can go to Iceland." Yeah, right. He's going to Iceland. When? When's that happening? When? Huh? Tell me all about it when he lives there. Tell me all about it. Anyway, the fact is that there's a lot of things that Steve tries to do that just prove his anti-intellectualism back to when he could not handle the phrase structure rules or the syntax of the language. He wants, that hurts my head. So his condescending dismissal of the language diminishes the field. Exactly how? Because Steve Kaufman can't handle it. He's not erudite enough. That dismisses the field. How? And let's also move on to his pale understanding of social linguistics. Steve, you say you care about literacy and things like this. So that is definitely within the social linguistics field. The aspects of social linguistics cover things such as prestige languages, diglossia. Look it up, Steve. Look it up. Code mixing, code switching. They're not the same, which I've been doing research in. And I'm going to present a paper on that, actually, as a matter of fact, at the Southeastern Asian Linguistics Society, which I guess you will never do because you're not erudite enough to get published or to present. So the factor of social linguistics covers how pidgins are formed, Creoles are formed, languages. I guess you don't know those. How languages change, how accent changes, what's going on with the prestige in the culture, what's the covert prestige, what's the alter prestige, why two languages can exist in a culture, or why it can be multilingual or bilingual, and why it cannot be, in ways that languages will survive or they will not survive. That's all social linguistics. I noticed that you want to say historical linguistics is really fascinating. Oh, so this is philology. This is the old field. This is what you're going to find. Dr. Arguelles is in this field originally, and it is interesting to see how basically historical linguistics traces the parent language of several languages, or reconnects ones that are dead-ended. That was how Indo-European languages were found, as in the family, the connection. That was a big area over 100 years ago in research, but that's not the big areas now. And so there's so many things to talk about, because Steve Kaufman, every time he opens his mouth and tries to put a post up, he just blatantly shows that he knows less than what he wants to come across as. I don't even want to. I hate to bury him under computational linguistics. Some people are trying to act as if linguistics is like a choice of painting a room, like your color and my color are equal. No, they're not. Linguistics is a hard science at many levels. Computational linguistics is a hard science. Phonology, phonetics is a hard science. And you're going to get into things that you guys want to debate, like language learning, L2 learning, and Steve wants to constantly use this idea of, well, we can do it this way because we have this. We have text and we have files. We have people who've written dictionaries, and I'm going to use a translation method, which is all left brain. I will cover that in another video, because seemingly that all these people in the YouTube area of learning languages only deal with left hemisphere learning. There's a lot more to say. There's a ton more to say because he just constantly, it's unbelievable what he does not know. And yet, when he, what you've proven once again, Steve, is that you're not a linguist. Your anti-intellectual stances, your dismissive qualities, your condescension of those who are erudite is 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 so blatantly stupid that that requires my, you know, giving you the label of probably the worst person that can possibly, tout languages as something incredible. You know, I've had more meaningful discussions with orange salesmen in Morocco. You know. Anyway, so pay attention and look below for more information.